Should be live.
And then overlap a little, like half an hour. You can oh. Yes.
Huh.
No, it's really that far away. It's not high. Should be. Yes, I'm really this one.
Okay. All right. So are we all set up? This in. Okay.
It's because you have YouTube open and it's delayed.
All right.
Sound.
So are we
You close the YouTube.
should close my YouTube here. We all set up. That is okay. You can't find the link?
Yeah, it's
Want to transfer this to another screen. Yeah, it's here.
Oh, didn't know you could do that.
So you have two screens. This one too. Oops. Here we go. Okay, so I think we should start. Okay.
okay, wait, I don't know how to do it.
Good morning, everybody. I hope that Hungary can hear me. Hungary, please wave if you can hear me. Ah, great. So it's been 2 weeks since we last met for DDD. Last time I thought I was teaching on Thursday, but was a little bit of miscommunication, but it was fun to be here with everybody in that course. We have someone new from Montana, right? New, but not new, but we are, this is my first time to see you in class. Have you introduced yourself to everybody before? Okay, so what we did last time was you come here because the camera is here, and then you talk to Harry and everybody. Oh, wow. Just a few words. Come here.
Hello, hello. My name's Johanna, and I'm so happy to be here, and I'm really grateful. And I look forward to meeting everybody in Hungary, and I still have a couple of people here that I'm needing to meet, and I'm just excited. Everybody that I've met so far, I've really been enjoying it. So thanks.
Johanna from Montana.
That's
it. I'm teaching a course on musical rhythm, rhyme, and time. So Johanna from Montana is rhyming. All right, so I'll do a short run through from what we did last time so that we can get to where we stopped and then we can continue. Have you gotten your keys, your key cards, all of you?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So we've been talking about this dance displacement and diaspora, and this has been just an introductory overview, focusing on Africa, but also looking at the wider perspective of migrations and displacement everywhere. And just to go back a little bit, we went through, we began there, Africa, and asking the question whether Africa is a continent on the move, which we haven't actually given a kind of answer to. We will not. And then perceptions of what is happening with this kind of movement from different scholars. One was Marie Laurine, who talks about this kind of wider talk about generalities that are in the scholarly on about migrations, and looking at these, many people looking at it from a larger perspective instead of the macro, looking at it from a macro rather than a micro, and missing out many peculiarities that come with diasporic communities. And we looked at that shortly and went further to these three different periods that we set out to start with. The one before 1800, where we see trade and nomadism and intertribal conquests, as well as wars, leading us to what we see today. And we discussed a little bit about nomadism, and one of you at it from a perspective of pastoralism instead of nomadism. It was very fun. I did a little bit of research about that from that insight. We talked about that, and then we went to the ideas of what intangible cultural heritage migrations and diasporic communities go with, and adapt when they go to these new places in general, and ask the question about if the current movements can be looked at from a perspective of nomadism, which we had a short discussion about. And then we went into this the period between 1880 and 1900s. All this is just to give you in a kind of background so that we can reach where we are today. Yeah, so that we can all be at the same page. And this period was characterized by the partition and the partition of Africa, partition of Africa, and then from there we see a new turn in after the scramble and partition. Many aspects that are coming from this this change and turn, relating to cultural, indigenous cultures being a little bit perceived differently and approached different from different areas in the world, in Africa in particular, but also elsewhere in the world. We see that trade and nomadism continues within this period after 800, but approached from a different turn with particular. Now we see perspective of war and borders and different countries after the partitions within Africa, as we'll see later on talking about the visa. But still, nomadism and intercultural, intertribal conquests continue, and trade as the major aspects we talked about. And then we had started on the World War between world wars, the two world wars. Talked about how people, many people moved to other parts of the world from Africa as a big movement during that time, both world wars, and talked about the fact that even though the fighting was outside Africa, since Africa was already partitioned and there were a lot of colonies, this world war was actually also present on the African continent within the different countries, because they were already partitioned and were supporting different countries that were involved in the war. So it wasn't about Europe or alone, but also within Africa itself. Yeah, I went to further on to what this researcher Pasek talks about this in a way, and Africa's involvement in this, because there were many things that happened during the war. It wasn't only about fleeing or fighting, but it was also a lot of things involved. You know, people, we see about more than 2.5 million people moving from Africa during involved in the war in one or another, work, being soldiers, you know, everywhere, in many perspectives. So we see that many people moved, and this is where we were talking about the war and how it affected the different migrations from and within Africa at these two wars on Africa continent. We have, for example, we saw that there was voluntary migration from Algeria, Algerian labor to France, and this originated in the First World War, and this was a very big move. We see about 2.5 million Africans, or over 1% of the population, were involved in the war in one or another, both on the African continent but also outside. And the question here has always been, where is dance in all this? And we need to go this all the time, because this is our area of focus. And this is where we stopped, I believe, yeah. And moving forward from here, with that question in mind, Pasek continues to say that dances and songs provided other means to deal with the experience of violence and displacement, but also encounters with the wider world. And this is, we can see this in so many engagements. You can see this in so many examples that are all over about the war on YouTube, on the UNESCO website too. You can find out of information about this. And one of the reflections here is, did the unfolding events of the world wars affect develop dance in general and other forms of cultural expression at home and away? And at home meaning within the continent, but away outside the continent in one or another. This is a question that is wide in so many ways, and I'm bringing all these reflections one at a time here and there to let you start thinking about your essay. You know, the essay you are supposed to write about this within this DDD course, because some of these questions can apply to your own situations, where you're coming from, or what you'll be researching about as part of the essay. So, are there developments? What was the effect? What happened? Or what happens? Because we should be not only talking about the past, we should be talking about today, presently, because these today in so many ways. Look, we are all here. We are all not from here, so it's like a usual thing. So still looking at Pasek's perspective on the war, the documentary about what they call the brown war babies, and it's on BBC. You can look at it, and this is one of the different things that you could look at that could give you a good perspective of what really these migrations led into. And we are talking about time far back within the Second World War. Those are many years back, and still we can still see that dance and dancing and cultural expressions and tangible cultural heritage still manifested and continues to manifest today in these different diasporic communities. So reflecting on that question, the unfolding events of the World War, and I really wanted this for you to reflect back on where you're coming from, and the different countries you're coming from, and how the effects of the war, if there are influences, effects, and all that. Just reflecting about this. And the questions here are how, where, when, why, and for whom, and more questions. This is just an example. And again, I'm dropping these questions here because these are some of the things that you should be thinking about when you're looking at these diasporic communities that we'll be looking at as part of this, the essay for this module. So how? We see that even within East Africa, we see that some dance traditions changed. Movements relating to the war, to the military movements. In a way, there are some parts of East Africa where the whistle, when dancing, they started using the whistle to give directions in many ways, and this was really to the current atmosphere at that time. It was very military-like, but also there are many traditional dances that were about, war within fighting within the communities. But the world wars also made this articulation even more. We have many some members of the community that that experienced the war directly. For example, my grandfather, if I was, he passed away, unfortunately. But when this man started to talk about the world wars, he would not move away. He has profound imaginations of what really happened and how things. I got many chances to speak to him in my village, and it's amazing. I would just imagine, because I wasn't there, but it was really fun to hear what really transpired within the communities during this time. And many things changed, and even relating to dance again, we see that some particular dance movements started to be incorporated within some traditions that related to military attire. And we can see that also within, if you look at, there's another documentary on YouTube that I think I put here. This gentleman talks about when this migration happened, when there were, people who came from Africa to Europe to support the fighting, the war, what things they were looking, they came with, and one of them was the attire here. The war uniforms were a little bit adjusted to the within, so that relating to what the fighters cultures back at home. This wasn't, for example, this picture. This was, you can see that they have this cloth tied around, and this is the garb that is coming. But this was within Europe already. So there were some aspects of culture that were brought within the war, and how and for whom. And this question goes back to what I was asking about. Yes, you want to say something?
I don't know much about it, but I need to talk to my dad because my paternal grandfather was Senegalese.
Yeah.
During World War I. I know my dad was telling me when I was a kid, but I never met him because he passed before I was born. So that's also part of the history that I'm digging into.
Yeah. I think if we dig back into history, you can find many amazing things that relate to all this. And I think as you know, during this time, English and French as language were not really much wider spread within Africa. They were still developing there. Yet we have many people who are in the war and they had to communicate and all this. So they were juggling with so many cultural perspectives to engage and also adapt and in the process learn and at the same time fight, and also, there are many things that were happening at the same time. But if you can imagine, I think there are many aspects of intangible culture here, because they couldn't travel with the drums, with these big drums in the war, of course not. But the dancing, and the music, and so there was development. There was an effect on the traditions in one way or another. How, why, where, when, and for whom is the question. Yeah. As you continue into this, do we have any questions so far? Because I'm going to move on from this general area, from this general period. Any questions? Hungary, any questions? Sorry, I'm calling you Hungary. Well, you are in Hungary. Maybe we should shift to Szeged.
No questions from here.
No questions. Very good. Not very good, but okay. So we move on from that period to the period between the 1950s and the 2000s, right? Remember, general overview. So many countries get independence, right? Free. And then United Nations, formation, and we can access the air now, fly to different parts of the world, and water transport and road transport, the telephone, internet. Well, internet wasn't that during that time, not that very. No, I don't remember my grandfather talking about internet at all. But yeah, there were also democratic dispensations problematics, because then again leading into migrations within Africa and going up within and outside. Colonial rule ends, and then governing ourselves, and then fighting for power to govern ourselves. And that also, led into migrations within and outside. And then because there were partitions already, borders. We see now borders to move from, for example, from Uganda going to Kenya, you had to do something. And then the problematics of the visa. We all know about the visa, right? So all these things transpired. But in the process, we see international migrations, inter-regional migrations, we see intercontinental migrations, and all these fit into the general conception of what we're talking about. And going back to the question, what I was talking about the last lecture, that this topic is very complex and very wide. You must be aware of this. This is why in the assignment, we let you concentrate on just one community that you feel comfortable with, so that you can do a little bit of research and be able to write an essay out of it. But the topic is really wide. It's the whole world we are talking about here. It's not only Africa or Europe or America or wherever, it's the whole world, because this is happening today. It has happened before, and I think it will continue to happen later, after today. So we still see international migrations, inter-regional migrations, and because of the borders and all this, and this is what the map of Africa shows here, different interactions between nations and regions in one or another. So what do we see after, many, for example, in East Africa, this is the region, the kind of time between the 1950s and 2000s, this is where many countries in East Africa got independence, and we see a lot of cultural revitalization movements. We see development of national ensembles. For example, in Uganda, we had a national ensemble starting at that was developed in 1963 and was closed in 1967. And why? Because now we had different regions. Regions and tribes in the country. But now, because of easy movement, easy communication, English being more and more known within the country, so the different tribes start speaking to each other, because we have like different languages and we have like 65 in this small country, and having English being established now, people can speak to each other in a single language. So we see national ensembles being made, and the main medium of communication was English, and coming from different tribes and then coming to one place and then doing dances from everywhere. Even at that time, there was movement from to another. This migration, one to another. And this was not only in East Africa, also in West Africa, in Ghana, for example. Those who are coming from Ghana, the national ensemble and the creation of the national ensemble in Ghana was also related to this. And for many parts of Africa, it was really this independence. Oh, we are free. We can do our music and dance. And I remember Judith Lynn Hanna, who is one of the researchers on Africa, dance researcher, who was captured an event in Ghana about the independence, and looking at the dances and all that. She also was doing this in East Africa too. She's a very renowned researcher.
Let me ask you,
yes.
In the second half of the 20th century, right? 1950s to 2000s.
To 2000s now. Yeah. So, and then culture centers being established, and then opening up to national festivals, and then festivals connecting to the wider world within Africa, but also outside. This is when we see dance schools and cultural exchanges developing in the process. Yes.
Is it around the time that the Ballet Africain also were established? Because I know there is like in Senegal, they have this ballet, and also like neighboring countries where they have this corps de ballet, but with traditional
yes.
African dance.
Yes, within this within this confine.
Yeah,
because
sorry,
now.
Excuse me.
Yes, Hungary.
Can the students please speak closer to the microphone, because we cannot hear you?
Okay, they will just speak
Thank
louder, because we are using my microphone, my computer microphone. So speak louder when you speak. And she was talking about the ballet Africa. And I think it is during that time, or a little bit before, because I think we were in the same period with West Africa getting independence, and we had in Uganda we had ours in 1962. Kenya, I think, is in 1963. Tanzania, I think it is in the 50s, late 50s. I'm not sure. But I think this is when it started being established. And we have been talking about mainly moving out of Africa, but there's so many other elements that came to Africa in the process. One of them is this ballet. It's coming from abroad, form of migration for dance in the process. So we see education and international collaborations. People moving out of Africa to study, but also people coming to Africa, anthropologists, to study, this kind of intercultural exchanges in the process. There is a book, I picked this out specifically for this, talking about what they call this, the colonial choreography, how the British administration shaped dance in East Africa. And this is by Kiru. This is Kenyan. They are both Kenyan. they're talking about the process of staging starting in 1950s, and all control over dance events and celebrations turning into a form of a choreography process and processes and institutions put in place, and the native dances being put on stage. We see that there is a shift. Earlier on, if you look at the time before the 800s, there was no, the spirit of competition and festival like we see it today was not. The purpose was for people to dance and dance for themselves and their immediate communities. And, you know, it wasn't about competition or this. It was really social. It was really about life, living, you know, being interaction. And when I was doing my research in Northern Uganda, I remember one of the people I interviewed talking about the fact that they got their spouses on a dance event, and he said that this is one of the most profound memories in his head. And it was not really about having a stage and people seated there to watch to dance. It was really about engagement. There's a very small barrier between the performer and the audience, and we can still see this permeating in what we see today. Some of the traditional dances we have in East Africa, in Uganda in particular, people dance, and when somebody feels they are impressed, they stand up and join and dance, and they can give you a gift, or even money in the process. And this is still existing because of these aspects of dance that continue to permeate even within today. That, okay, if I feel the rhythm and I feel I am impressed, I'll just get up and dance or join you on stage and do what I want to do. So it's different. Here you have to wait until it's done, and then you clap, and then you stand up and clap again, and then clap again. It's a little bit different from back at home. You're impressed, get up and join the dancers and dance. So we see this permeating into what we have today, even within the diasporic communities. Post-independence, protracted internal and international wars, again, in African scramble for power. We talked about this, and we see a lot of this happening today, relating and also causing migrations, moving away and moving to other places within and outside. Again, coming from this background, we see wars. For example, the Northern Uganda war that I researched about in my PhD. The war in South Sudan, the Rwandese genocide. See, there are so many people who come, so many Rwandese that crossed from Rwanda to Uganda, for example, during the genocide, and after the genocide. The rise of the Boko Haram in West Africa is all about this kind of, chronology. Coming from before 1800, after that, and today in the near past, and all that. And then we see the Al-Shabaab in East Africa, and all these lead to migrations. So this is, again, I will come back and say there are so many things involved. And if we talk about this only from a wider perspective and don't look at the micros of how people live in the different communities, the diasporic communities, we would be missing quite a lot. Again, this is why we have this a course for you looking at one community and looking at the details of that and how things transpire in as far as dance is concerned. So we're almost to where we are today, but not quite yet. The development of these diasporic communities that we have in the near past, we see that many people from Africa, about 4.1 million live in Europe from Africa, and about 1.55 million in the US by 2017. This is just a sample from that organization that I found. I think there are many other groups everywhere. This is why we have embassies in different countries, you know, each country having an embassy in another country. It's also about these international relations and even looking at migration. We have been looking at all this from moving from one place to another, but there's also many instances where, for example, we have the Norwegian embassy in Kampala, in Uganda, where I come from. And that comes with a big community of Norwegians coming to stay there. The ambassador and all the staff coming, being Norwegian, they come with children and all that, even though they stay for a short time because ambassadors always taken everywhere. We have the Goethe Institute in Uganda, very huge, and they are doing a lot of culture programs, and therefore we have many people from Germany coming to Uganda, coming to East Africa. The same, we have this is a general, we have the biggest American embassy in East Africa, you know, and we have a group, many Americans connected to that, moving in and out. So there is a lot that happens. What do they come with, and what do they adapt to, and what do they go back with when they leave, is what is really what is interesting for us in as far as dancing is concerned. So there is a lot, and education, work, social health, you know, refugee situations caused by wars, political, religious, and cultural tensions, and all these come in the larger confines of borders and migration. Is anyone sleeping? No? Hungary, are you sleeping? No? I see someone in the back. I see someone in the back with do you see them? No. Okay, I see someone in the back doing this. Do you want to say something?
Oh, we're just saying, no, we're not sleeping.
Okay. Yes, please. You have to put on Zoom so that they can hear you.
And you have,
Yes, you can.
I first wait.
Yes.
Are you muted?
Yep.
Okay, I have to mute and then you unmute.
So my question is, whoa, sorry. No, this is, you have to mute that one. Just, okay. So my question is regarding, because you're talking about most of the times how people go there, leave and go back. Most of the examples you have been giving are so, but when I got in touch with people who I want to research with, they're basically staying where they, so it's a different kind of migration. They're like, in a way, they're adopting two identities instead of one, two overlapping identities. We talked last time about how they live one life until 5, and then from 5 to 10, they live another life. Yeah. So I think that the phenomena is going to be very different from one group to the other, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You have, yeah.
Okay. Yes, and this is what I was going to get to, and also talking from not only moving away but also coming, and later on we'll be talking about stay, you know, and what happens when people stay and all this. So yes, you are preempting what I was going to talk about a little bit later. But this is how it is. That's just the phenomenon. It is some people stay for long, some people commute. For example, I'm commuting. I'll go back to Uganda. But also another interesting thing is that, well, I'm commuting, but I am like a resident here. I permanent resident, but I keep on commuting. So there are so many peculiarities depending on people's situations. And this is what we miss when we talk about the larger world conception of displacement and all that. So yes, we will come to this. Even with the communities that we'll be researching about or doing ethnography about, you will find that there are some people who are part of those communities that are staying permanently, but there are some that actually commit and go back. So their experiences may be different, because when you move back to a back and forth, you get in touch with home and then come back, and then, you know, but are those that are not in touch or they have cut connection completely. They are still diasporic communities, but in a different category. So there are so many details here. Yeah, but before we go into that, I wanted to talk a little bit about reconstituted communities. And this brings a different perspective in a way. And with drawing on Africa and for example, in Uganda in general, there are situations where people leave their area of stay because of a challenge, war, or something that is happening, and then they are in a different area, go to another area, and then reconstitute their communities after that. This is what I'm talking about, reconstitution. Okay, so I'm going to give an example here. The community that I researched about in northern Uganda, there was war, the northern Uganda war, and people of villages and put into internally displaced people's camps. They left where they were they're staying, and then constricted in those areas. They were unable to access what their original place of stay. Some of them went to different districts, but within the country, you know. And then after the war, they go back to their communities. They are taken back to their communities. It's like they start all over again. Yeah. And this is something that is happening with the we'll be talking about shortly about people who, I mean, wars that are happening, and there people cross borders to the nearby country. For example, we have many people from Congo, from that, also those crossed from Rwanda to Uganda, and also South Sudan. Many people are crossing to Uganda in the process. But after the war after the situation is better in their country, the system is to take them back. So they go back and reconstitute their communities. And just imagine you have left home because of a problem, 5, 7, 10 years. Yeah. And then go back. And in the situation, you were a farmer, you don't have any, you have to start from zero, reconstituting, you know, this is what I'm talking about. And this is what I did, partly what I did for my research, and how I was looking at dancing and dance musicking and community reconciliation after the war, and social cultural integration. And this is really another category of migration, another category of displacement, because they did not go by choice. They were forced to leave because of this calamity. People who, where we have not only landslides, but these big hurricanes, you know, where people have to leave because if they stay, they are going to die, forcefully to another, taken to another place. Big fires in the US, yeah, people are taken from their homes to another. I think there was a big one, I think last year, I heard. Okay, yeah, floods, you know, all over. When we are talking about displacement and reconstitution, we don't only talk about, we shouldn't only talk about cross-continent or cross-border. There's also things that are happening within the communities, within the same country, because for especially big countries like the US, for example, you know, Russia, big countries, or even Germany and with many people. So this is what I was wanted to see if any one of you has any relation to that within your own countries that we can you can give an example of that, where we see a good number of people moving from one place to another, and then perhaps after that coming back in the process, and moving away from this larger perspective of the world and the continent and all that, coming back to our different countries. Anyone has an experience or has close ties to an experience like that? Yes, Anna. Johanna. Yes. You have to speak loud. Do you have Zoom there? On your oh, Hungary, can you speak? Hungary, do you hear? Okay, hold on.
Here you go.
Can't hear.
So I guess it's a question and a comment.
Yeah, just a
Oh,
minute. Hungary, do you hear us now? Do you hear her?
Yes, now we can hear.
Again.
But
Hungary, do you hear?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hear them from here.
Okay.
Okay, Hungary, okay, hearing.
Maybe
We lose
have
them.
mine unmuted.
You're on. Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Raise your hands if you can hear us.
Do you remember your question?
It's not that good of a question for this.
Yes, technology thing. Let's see here. Okay, Hungary, please raise up your hand if you hear us.
We can
great.
hear you. We can hear you now. But
Right.
only you, Ronald.
So, okay, she's going to speak into the computer, and then you'll hear her. Okay, so I'm muting.
Okay.
Please unmute then.
Sorry, takes out.
Okay. So it's a question and a comment. From where I am from in Montana, there are a lot of Native American tribes, and at different points they were forced to go to boarding schools and then come back to sometimes their tribe of origin, but also sometimes to a tribe that was, nearby. Like a friend of mine grew up Salish Kootenai, but is actually on a different reservation now. And so they're not considered Salish by their tribe as much as they used to be. They're actually more considered to be affiliated with their new tribe now. And that brings in a lot of other complications because they're motivated to help with preservation of their dances and languages. But because there is this would that be considered reconstitution if they were asked to leave to go to a boarding school?
Constitution would be in two ways, I think, and we can challenge this. When you leave your community, you go to another place and then come back and then reconstitute.
They're not hearing you.
Give me, Ronald. We cannot hear you.
Okay, mute there. Yeah, so I was saying that reconstitution then is I see it in two ways. One, that you leave your community, go to another community, and then come back to your community, or leave your community, go to another community, and if you're a group, you reconstitute your own at that place where you are at. So it is two lines here that you can think about. So it is, I think it is still a reconstitution. If you, what you're talking about, you need to help again with the, because she's continuing, right? Yeah.
So the first reconstitution would be because they came back from boarding school, and then the second reconstitution would be, I guess that, what did you say was the second form of reconstitution?
You can, when you leave,
when you leave, for example, as Gediminas mentioned earlier, in Norway, for example, if you're a group of 30, then you can be recognized within the Norwegian rules. So if, for example, you know, they make the group again constituting a community and reconstituting it is like doing it again. Yeah, coming together again.
So in this circumstance, it would be a Native American going to a boarding school would be the first reconstitution, and then them returning home would be the second reconstitution.
Also, that
depends on where they are going to. If it is from, say, Trondheim to Stavanger, which is still in the, within Norway, but in another place, then it will be it will be a little bit another category. But it has to be a group of people. It's not, we're not talking about one person in the process. So you're talking about a Native American moving from Montana to another state within the same state.
A lot of times it would be within the same state, but okay, sometimes it would be in a different state. But it would be usually a different culture running the boarding school.
Different language.
So they would have to be renamed, like their names would have to be changed. They would be asked to not, speak their language, things like that. So it would be a completely different culture within maybe the same state.
Yeah. I think it passes as a form of, there's so many things we are changing. And if you are to go back to the original where you the kind of system where you came from, right? So it's this kind of small movements. Yes, I would say reconstituting and constituting and reconstituting different communities. Absolutely. Anyone else has an experience or a relation to this situation within your own different countries? Hungary, anyone there?
We're all here. But no questions so far.
Did I do something wrong?
You can do sound.
Just the computer one.
Yeah.
What?
You increase your computer one.
Okay. Hungary, do you hear? Yeah.
You still have
it's not connected. Okay. Does somebody have earphones? Okay. So they hear me. So mute then. Okay, anyone? Yes, I see a hand there.
Excuse me, Rana.
Can you hear?
You want to say something?
We hear you.
Okay, I was just saying that.
Okay. Okay, so I was just saying that it's I was from what you guys were saying there, I was thinking about how it applies here, but not to me directly. I was just thinking about Anisha, who spent most of her life in the US as an Indian citizen. she went to school there. So I was just asking her, like, going back to India and, integrating with the community and all that, was it different? Was it was it weird? Did they treat her differently, or was there like a community of American Indians there that you could relate to? I was just asking her those kind of questions, and so we thought it would be good to let you in on the conversation.
Good conversation. Yeah, can she speak to it?
Yeah, I guess, well, I haven't answered your question yet, so I'll answer now. The city I'm from is Bangalore, and it's now called like the Silicon, like basically it's a tech, I guess everyone wouldn't know that reference. So it's a tech hub with, yeah, I was gonna say Silicon Valley, but it's a tech hub, meaning that there are a lot of multinational corporations, and which led to a lot of people who had migrated to the US to work, coming back to Bangalore, regardless of whether that was their city of origin or not, to continue working within the IT sector. So it's a little difficult for me to answer her question, because for me specifically, I actually spent more time in India and just went to the States for my bachelor's. And I was born in the States. So when I came back, I was only 5, and I don't really remember that transition, apart from having to change my accent. And because there was, all of this was happening at the same time, there were people who were settling almost in the same area. So there are areas like Whitefield or Sarjapur where I moved to later on in my life that do have a lot of people who work in the IT industry. A lot of them have come back from the US, or have kids who were born in the US and maybe continue to get their education there, and then they've moved back to the country. And this transition is a little different because it's almost like Bangalore has many different cities within a larger city. And it's almost like a community is ready for them to get integrated into. So it would be a better question for my parents when they moved back, what it was like, because at the time the city was not so divided, and there were the city didn't have these like little hubs of communities that have all these different identities. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And I really like the point back to your parents, really. If you have, for this course, you can ask anyone that you are related to, I mean, to get perspective of what happened or what is happening or within this netography, this research for DDD. So thank you for that experience. Anyone else? Yes.
I have a couple experiences.
But do they hear you?
Oh, sorry.
I have a couple of experiences. Within the same country. So Argentina is quite a large country. So the northern part is quite, it's not good for agriculture or cattle. It's very hard there. So people will migrate from there to southern parts to work in the fields or wherever. And it also happens that, for example, where I used to live before coming here in the southern part of the country, there were a lot of teachers from one of the northern provinces. And there's a lot of, how they're banter, jokes about the culture of each province. And they're supposed to be very lazy and very, like it's a joke. And there's a lot of jokes about it. And leaving that aside, they come and they bring their own, like they have their own culture, dance, very strong dance culture, gathering like a lot of very strong family reunions, like very big family reunions, and they bring back down from the northern part to the southern part where people are. It's a very rural area, very like countries. Sorry, the towns can have 1,000 people, 2,000 people, and they're becoming bigger. And you can see this tension between the people who are moving, and they come with all the families, and it's a big movement of people, and the culture is changing, and it's becoming a little more urban at the same time. But these people come from another province, which is also very rural, but in a different way, and they have a different So, and you can see how they reconstitute themselves as communities. And they, in Spanish is Santiagueños, because it's from a province called Santiago del Estero. And it's like, there's an identity that forms around them. And also from the same part, so instead of, that's from northwest, and from northeast, you have another part of people coming from another province, which is, the weather is very bad. It's hot all year. It's like tropical, but very wet and hot all year. So they come to the southern part because it's, you have 4 seasons and it's different. And they bring also their dances and the culture within those dances. And you have like these conflicts of cultures, because the way they behave, the way they connect with each other is very different from the native people or people who have been living in there for 100 years. And there are stabbings, and like, it's a very, they tell you, yeah, they kill each other with knives. Yeah. So the thing is, I'm telling it like this, but my brother was like, his girlfriend was a traditional family from the place, and they were in a party, and when they start to get drunk, they was just like, just let's leave, because they will start to taunt you until they get you. And they in this part, so they bring together 2 dances. I mean, they are very popular in all Argentina, but these people are the people where those dances come from. One of them is chacarera, and the other is one chamamé, which became ICH 5 years ago or something like that. And the culture they bring with the dance is very strong. It's very recognizable. It's very interesting, and it's only like a couple thousand miles from each other, right?
Argentina seems to be a big country, right?
About the same as India.
Oh, so it is.
Yeah, it is. We were checking that the other day. I thought it was much smaller than India, but it's really close to India.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the southern part to the northern part is 4,500 kilometers.
And
there are, elements that could distinguish them from very, very strong.
Yeah,
elements.
they're very clear, like accents. If I talk to someone from the north, sometimes I cannot understand. If they speak fast, I cannot understand.
Yeah.
Even if it's
Same.
Spanish, but it's like
And this is very common within Africa, because we have different tribes. So if a tribe moves with a different language, different dance traditions and all that,
from one area, one
region to another, it's always something to think about, and a lot of material to research about. You wanted to say something?
Hi. One or two of my own experience, and it's basically like how John has said, it's mainly about education. So in India, there are many states, and all the states are differentiated. Not all, most of the states are differentiated based on the language. And the state which I come from, Kerala, in Kerala itself, like he said, the accent is very different from north to south. Like, I don't understand if I go to the extreme north. It will be very difficult to understand. So when I went out of my home for my bachelor's, so if you go to any national school, you will have groups for each state, and you will have a separate welcoming party, which included many other things also for each state. And you will have celebrations of festivals and everything for each state, separately organized for each one. And one interesting part was that everyone else will also join for that, because one simple fact, like food is different for each culture, very, very specific. So if somebody gets food from their own hometown, like, it's not just your that group of people, like, it'll be everyone else also joining. Another interesting fact was we had a dance club. So I was part of the dance club there, and we had to represent each state. So but the dance club didn't include people from every state, but we will end up learning that, studying that, and then representing it. It had to be like that. It was followed every year, and we also did follow that, which was very interesting. And yeah, that's.
So even if you may not realize, there are so many aspects of this course that relate to us individually. And this is, for me, this is what makes it even more interesting, that you can relate directly and use this conceptualization to help you even within your course. I mean, within your writing for the course. Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Are you on Zoom there? Okay.
It might.
So they hear you in Hungary, right?
I think they can hear me. Can you hear me? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it might not be directly related though, but I'm looking at a situation where we have Shona is actually a big language, so to say, in Zimbabwe, which is spoken by about 75%. And then we have a community in Kenya, a Shona community in Kenya that traveled there in around 1950 as a result of missionaries movement, 1950 there. These people, they are almost 3 generations now there in Kenya. They have lost everything about the Zimbabwean culture and traditions so far. Now they are community is saying they, and they are out of touch now with what? With Zimbabwe, their country of origin. The dances that they are performing now are a bit alien now to Zimbabwean dances. It's like they are joining the Kenyan community. They are now part of them, although it took time for them to be recognized by by the Kenyan government to give them a form of identity. So I was wondering, in such a situation, these people, yes, they're a disposed community, they're fine, but when we look at their dances and study them on the DDD course, is that a genuine reflection of a disposed community when they are now practicing the Kenyan?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It may, well, I would like to defy a little bit from you to say that they have lost everything. You cannot know that they have lost absolutely everything. That is very difficult to determine, but they are a diasporic community if they are established there. And I think this is a good case to consider. Do they still speak in Kenya?
Oh, I think
that is something to talk about. I mean, look at the events that they're doing, that they're convening in their own, community and how things are run. Do they have like an nation that regulates them, like a foundation for them in Kenya, or even that is? Yeah, this is a very good situation to look at. When again was it within these 3 periods we've been talking about, before 1800 and then after that, which of those did they move in? 1950s, right? Yeah.
So they moved. Most of them now.
Excuse me, we cannot hear you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good community.
Only last year, the government gave about
Excuse me, we cannot hear you.
Very interesting.
At all.
Very interesting.
Like really silent.
Yes, Francisca. Hold on. Does Hungary hear us?
I keep on checking because I don't want to lose you.
Hello, hello,
Yes.
hello.
Can someone
raise the hand if you are hearing?
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my first example is from my family, but I'm not so sure about it. I realized that I know very little about it, honestly. So there are some it's a long history. I thought it was only connected to World War II, but I just Googled it, so it goes far way back. It's Germans in Poland, actually. So it was also in Prussia already. It has been, you know, an area where there was a lot of, also during the Nazi regime, they tried to put Germans there to expand the land, and but it goes far way, I mean, back in the history. And so I know my grandmother, for example, she had a lot of connections, so she spent a lot of time in her childhood in an area called Schlesien. And I also just read that there was a time that Poland really purposefully tried to, I mean, they chased away the Germans from that, or actually, well, maybe they wouldn't even consider themselves German, you know, maybe they have been there already for so long, but they were still using a kind of a German language dialect, and they were erasing it from the culture. So they wanted to eat all visible, you know, traits where you could see some, I don't know, inscription in German. They would, you know, whatever, bring it down. Or so that's interesting, but I know not so much about that, to be honest. And I just had something else coming up in my mind when we talk about displacement. It's very interesting in the case of the, well, I say gypsy because they call themselves gypsies in Spanish, well, let's say gitanos in Sevilla. It's very interesting because there's a displacement happened also in the 80s, but within the city. So they actually traditionally lived in a neighborhood called Triana. And the city government decided that they wanted to, you know, tourism started, and they wanted to sort of, you know, renovate this area, make it nicer and more attractive. So they actually built a whole area in a totally different part of the city, on the other side of the river, a lot of these apartment buildings. And then they just offered, it was empty, and they just offered them a new living space. You know, it was like, come on, now you have a modern apartment with water and light and everything, you know, so they kind of made it attractive. So actually the whole community moved there, but then they totally lost touch in a way with their, you know.
That makes a kind of another category, because they are moving willingly, right?
Yeah, well, sort of.
To another place.
That would be interesting to know in how far they willingly moved, or and how far they were forced.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that area, and it's yeah, not that attractive to live there. Honestly, they have a lot of problems also. And,
but they are gypsies, as you say.
Yep, gitanos. Yes.
Coming from.
Well, yeah, I don't know, India, but I mean, they have been there for a very long time. Yeah. It's not. It wasn't like a new, recent. Sorry, I'm using a laptop.
It's a good scenario. You're using somebody's computer.
Yes. But yeah, that was interesting to see that you had a displacement within the same city, even, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very interesting phenomena. Phenomena all out. From because I really want to dance. Any questions from Hungary? Sorry.
Did you ask something to us?
Sorry, asking if you have any questions.
Oh, okay. You have any questions? No, Rona, no question.
Okay. So what we are going to do, are you all muted? Okay, yeah. We will spend a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes to discuss how we are going to handle the dancing. Here we are okay. Our studios is set, but in Hungary, I've been in touch with Shando, and it seems like you don't have space to dance there, right? Where you are.
Yeah,
so
what
we are going to do.
Move the chairs.
Yeah, we have a space, lot of space.
Oh, okay. That saves a lot of time now, because we had thought that if you don't have a comfortable space during the time when you were dancing, you would, during the week, you'll find you go to the other room where you have the studio, and then do your dancing and then record it. And then during the time when we are dancing here, you are looking at your video. And then when we come back, you can share the video, and then we can discuss all together. But since you have space there, it changes things actually. Now goes back to the very beginning. So if you can have, we are going to have, how long? We will use 40 minutes, okay? Who is leading the dancing today there?
It's Anna.
Great. Great. Please have fun. We will reconvene again at are we in the, yes, at 10 past 11. Yeah. Please make sure you have some fun, and try record if you can, so that you can share with the people here. Yeah. And then we also share with you. Please, you can start now. To start now. Okay. Good luck.
Hey, thank you,
We'll
Ronald.
see you back. Okay.
Hello, Rona, can you hear us? Okay, we can hear you. We have 10 more minutes.
Yes, yes. We convene again at 20 past.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, are you there, Seged?
I think we don't have the sound.
Seged is muted. Okay, so we have we need to finish this PowerPoint today, but okay, so Seged, are you there? Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Have you recorded? Yes, too.
Oh, that's nice.
Do you hear us now? Unmute. Hey, you are muted. Still muted. You are still muted.
Hear you. Sorry for the little delay.
Okay. Oh, good that you sit it down. Okay, but yeah, okay. We can't hear you anyway. So, is everybody back in here and there?
Yeah, we're complete.
Okay. So I need somebody from your end who can play your video. Did they share it with you? Anyone who can log on to Zoom and then share the video. Before that,
It's nice if they send it on WhatsApp too, because Zoom is going to be choppy and nasty.
yeah. Okay, can you share it on your WhatsApp group? Yeah.
Yeah, she's.
Screen after. Join.
She's going to share a screen. But
Okay. Who is going to share screen?
If you just give me a few minutes to join the Zoom, I will share screen if you want. But you guys
Okay,
can.
so who should I give host rights to share on Zoom?
Tell me when you see my name.
Lenin?
Tell me.
She's connecting now.
Okay.
It's to make me stop singing this song.
hey, did you like it?
I loved it.
Huh. Interesting. Room to dance floor.
It always takes more time than that.
Yeah.
I have
Oh, so,
joined
yeah.
now, so you can make me.
Yes, for your brain. It helps.
Okay. Yeah.
Your brain gets faster.
Guys,
There you go. Yeah. Share with us, everybody there now, right? Yeah. She's gonna share. Okay, so before you share, we play the video, you have two perspectives on this: the perspective of the person who has been leading the class and the perspective of those who have been led in the class. Oh, that includes me here. Okay. So we'll start with Seged. We'll have only 15 minutes so that we can push a little bit further into the class for today. So we'll start with you. Please, Tammy, just play, share, and then play the video so that everybody can see it.
She's actually sharing the screen. Just a second.
Okay. Hi, people. Well, today I was doing the exercise here in Szeged. We practice different.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We need to see the video first.
yes.
We have not. I haven't seen it. Have you? No. Let's first see the video so that we see what you've done.
We are working for this weekend.
You can also send it
Sorry,
to,
Mr. Ronald, can we start with NTNU while we're trying to sort this out and then?
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, but I really wanted to start from Seged though. But let's start from here. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Anthony, how are you? Hmm? It should be playing. Let me check. Yeah.
But there is a way for them to see better the video. Can I just check?
Yeah. Do they see it? Okay.
Sorry, Mr. Ronald, can you make me host again? Allow me share.
Okay.
Because I joined with my phone now.
But I think first we're going to watch the video.
Can't we have more than one host?
But I think I should be able to hear.
Yeah, I cannot, because there is a way to make it optimized for sharing videos. Otherwise, it's going to be very choppy for them.
Oh, let's see. Tell me, wait, let's first play from here. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'll make you host, and then we.
Okay.
But you shared this with them on WhatsApp.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So ready? I'm playing the video from here. Okay. Here we go.
Now, as you do the flying, make sure that the hand spread is really flying. Yeah? I don't know whether that's one bad to now. Okay, ready? 5, 6, okay. Low or 5? 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. I have a lot of material to research. So I'm going to stop. This is the video from here. Short pattern of 3 different movements. Do they hear me? You hear me? Yeah. Yes. Okay.
I hear you.
So I'm going to unshare so that Temi can share and play for us all, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So I'll give you rights. Co-host rights.
Do I have rights now?
Temi, are you sharing?
Oh, I can now. Again, so I will do it now.
He's speaking Hungarian now. Again.
Sorry.
They have already sent it, but haven't seen it. I'm not on your group. Okay.
See my screen?
Okay.
Sorry, guys. Can you see my screen? Can you see my? Can you see
No,
my?
we don't see. You don't see this.
You guys.
Oh, this class is fun.
It's not a broadcast.
Okay. Screen.
In this the what is it like the phone? No.
Just give me 1 second, please. Apparently, my phone is proving to be too smart for me.
We can hear everything.
Think about another solution.
Can I see this video now?
Oh, okay, hold on, Temi. I think we have another solution. You have it. Send it to me on WhatsApp.
Okay.
You did, okay. I'm going to play it from here. Okay. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to play it from here. Okay. Where's my WhatsApp? 4 minutes.
3 minutes and a half.
Oops.
Oh, that's a long video.
It's a long video.
It's a full performance.
I think so.
Not a whole performance. We're mostly just freestyling towards the end. So enjoy for thy viewing pleasure.
Okay. Do you see what I see? Okay. Oh, this is directly. Okay. Okay. So ready? We are watching together. Okay. Yeah, they should be. They are seeing the screen. You see my screen, right?
We don't see your screen. We see the projector.
Oh my God, okay. All right. So, okay, that's a mistake. Here, there. Okay. So, do you see my screen now? Okay, here we go. Everybody, we are watching this.
Backstage. Mr. Ronald, can you go forward a little bit? I should have edited this part out. That's just backstage shenanigans. Okay, starting now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Very good. If you keep watching in your spare time, you'll see some of the really cool parts of it, like towards the end. Yeah. But it's 4 minutes, so we understand why we can't watch it all. Okay, bye.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. This is a fun class. Thank you. So, from your end, who was leading again? Huh? Who was leading?
I was leading. here.
Okay. So let's hear your experience. In the fact that we met different people and in Hungary and whatever you've been experiencing. What do you have to say about?
Okay, not just in this exercise, but during the time that I have been in Hungary. Yes, is that the question, or is for the exercise?
Yeah, your general experience.
Oh, my general experience. Oh no, I have felt very good here, and for example, the thing that I enjoy the most to be here is like people like my accent and they like my language. People like Spanish because in Latin America we are not, we don't love our language, right? It's just like, oh yes, we speak Spanish, but well, what else can I speak? But but here, it's really cool that people tell you, oh, you speak Spanish, that's amazing, I want to learn, please teach me. Latin people is so fun. And I feel good. Yes, and for example, well,
yes, and how about the moments when you are doing the class, this dance session?
These dance sessions was amazing because people here really liked Colombian rhythms, and we were dancing differently rhythms. The one that you look was just one, but we danced also salsa, and we danced cumbia, mapalé, and other things, and it was very fun. We were sweating all here. Yes.
Yeah. Can you ask her what was it? The one we saw?
Yes. What was it that you actually transmitted?
Yes.
Is it a specific dance tradition?
Yes, it is bullerengue. Bullerengue is a Afro-Colombian dance from our that's North Coast. Yes, yes, it is bullerengue.
Can I say something about that bullerengue? Bullerengue, say something. Okay, so it was so similar to African dance, the bullerengue, and not even just that, specifically that other one. Mapalén. There was one we did. There's a video as well we put on the group chat. Mapalén. It was the same kind of rhythmic pattern that we have in Nigeria as well. There's a tribe in Nigeria. There's a dance called Atilogu. It's very popular. It was like the exact same pattern, and some of the movements were similar. And I could just quickly connect. And then they said, oh, it's it's from the African, like there's like an African aspect of that in Colombia. And it was just I could quickly connect with that, as in Africans in diaspora there, and kind of influence that it had. Yeah.
Okay. Those who are seated on the chairs, are you with us?
Tell people, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. You looked as though you were in a different world, but yeah, we need to be together now. How about those who were actually participating? You are all from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
What is your take? What is your feel in the process?
Anybody wants to go? Okay.
Yeah, but if you want to, just go.
Yeah, actually, okay. It was a very beautiful experience, and it's like they say, Latin people like to party and have fun, and this reflects in their dance. Gonzalez is not. Anyway, the dance, the moves, and the mood of it really reflects that, and I loved how she structured the class, because we started in a very fun and narrowed isolation exercise, and then we did like switching partners, trying moves, and then we did the choreography. It was really very, very good experience.
Great. Well, I must say, I am from Peru, and we also have like a lot of Afro-Peruvian dances. and I could recognize some of the patterns. And well, I must say about this Latin energy, because I'm from Latin America and I don't like party like this, like in the Latin, I don't know, stereotypical, but it's true, you know, the happiness and the expression of that, it's kind of, I don't know, it has some nuances and some specificity, but well, anyway, I felt connected, even if I am not a traditional dancer. And the thing I enjoyed the most about Anita's class was watching everyone try to learn, like, how do you, because we had like a lot of hip movements, and I could just like recognize one of my Peruvian dances, like Afro, Festejo, from the hip, and it's like a square shape. But in Colombia, it was like more roundy, and it was like in this plano, como se dice, like
Yeah,
plane, like in this plane, and we were just like trying to figure out is up, down, or is diagonal, and it's like I found that very fun and very yeah, exciting to see and experience.
I feel
Okay, so somebody else wanted to say something? Or?
Yeah, yes, Anisha.
Okay.
I was going to just sort of echo Lucia's thoughts. Like in India, we do a lot of hip movements in Bollywood, in like common Bollywood dance. But I've learned all this in the club, so I don't have technique. I just know how to copy stuff. So when Anna was teaching us the technique, that was very interesting, because I've learned whatever hip movements I know from just copying people in a party. And what she was showing like allows for so much more control.
Mm-hmm. Right. So going back to the instructor, I mean, the leader, do you feel that there are some things that you had to leave out or to adapt to in order to reach this group in the process?
And could you repeat the question, please?
Okay. In your experience, in the process of instructing, do you think there are some parts of this tradition that you could not do, could leave out in order to reach or to get the group understand or be able to have this choreography in the process?
Okay, like not doing something. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
No, I did all what I wanted to do. Yes,
Okay.
and no, I didn't feel like that actually. Well, I'm not a professional traditional dancer, so I don't have a lot of information, but I have joined for a short period some traditional dance groups. I know something, and I could share with them the little that I know. It was okay. I didn't feel like changing themes or avoiding doing something. No. Can I say something about this?
But then those who were involved, I mean, those who were dancing, did you feel like you had what you know to learn this?
Could you please repeat, because we couldn't hear everything, all your question, please?
Okay. Yes, those who were involved, they are, the dancers, those who were being taught or those who were experiencing it. Did you feel like you had to give up, or give up some of what you know in order to adjust to this?
Well, I'm
these
gonna
movements.
Yeah, something before maybe answer a little bit. I wanted to say that Anita did prepare the class somehow for us. So because she knows our background, she knows where we come from and our dances and our possibilities. And I think she wanted to do this like in a fun experience for us. And well, as answering this question, I personally, I always have to change my chip in my head when I change from contemporary or classical to traditional. So I have to let go a lot of things, but I'm actually very used to this. So it wasn't a problem for me today. So Temi wants to say.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay, just 1 second.
This is coming to you. I'll ask you some questions.
Okay,
yes.
so for me, it wasn't about having to let go of things that I already knew. It was more of experiencing some things that I knew, but from another perspective. So that was how I experienced it. I had learned a bit of salsa in school, but it was different seeing an actual, indigene do it, as opposed to all the Black people practicing the salsa, and they're calling this movement this and they're calling this movement that. But here, there were simpler terms for it, like to the front, to the back, to the side. There we have technical terms for everything. Open break, single spin, like really complicated terms just to describe the simple things that you showed us today. So it was really refreshing to experience it from that angle. Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well, okay.
Okay, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I come from Indian dance background where especially when it is a classical dance in India or South Indian classical dances, we don't have much of hip movements, which is almost like forbidden for us. But this dance was full of hip movements and yeah, I go out, do other folk dance and stuff. So for me personally, it was not tough, but for a purely Indian classical Bharatanatyam dancer, maybe this could have been a challenge because you are doing exactly opposite to what you are actually trained. So this is what I observed. It is exactly opposite to what you do, and what you are not supposed to do is what is needed here. So that is something I observed.
Okay. Well, I really hoped that that I would finish what I wanted to finish today, but it is impossible. So I'll shift to Norway now, directly to you. What do you think about this generally, in short, about this experience, knowing that I am not from here and you are not from here, and we are meeting here and dancing together? You are all from a different country. We come in a new space, all of us, and then we experience this together in a way. This has to have something, that appeals to you in one way or another. So what do you think? Yes. Yeah. Are you on Zoom? Can everybody hear you? No. Can you give her the?
Yes,
okay.
of course.
Put on the video so that they can see her.
Yeah. So it was something you need to.
Hold on.
So it was about trying to move as you in this experience and trying to understand the different parts of what you were doing, and also the explanation that you gave, and trying to make sense for me of what you were saying. So it took a lot of watching. Like in fancy, it was like I wasn't paying attention how you turn. That's why at one point I was not turning. I was just standing and I was watching you because I was like, I have no idea how you're doing this. I'm just gonna stop dancing and watch, and then try to implement it. So a lot of watching, a lot of figuring out how you move in your body and how that would translate in your mind.
Translation. That's a big one. Translation. Anyone else? Oh, I need to write that down. Anyone else? What is your experience? There is translation. There is out of translation. And in the process of translation, some things are left out, and interpretation is different from, as I said in the class, everyone will interpret it differently. And this is the dynamic that appears in all diasporic communities. Everybody's interpreting things differently. And that creates a lot of things together in the process. So that what is really good. Yes.
What I was gonna say is that in my particular case,
will you put on the video so that Hungary sees it? Okay, they see you.
Oh, they need to see me. Okay.
Face, show your face.
Beautiful face.
You know, what I was saying is that in my particular case, it was interesting that you were trying to not make us count, but to feel also the instrument that you were playing. So I tried to see or to like grasp what were the movements that you were doing and how the sounds were going to translate with the drums to feel, let's say, when you were going to change, like not to count precisely, but to feel with the drums when you were gonna change to the new movement. So it was interesting as a non-verbal communication form, let's say, that I was trying to do that from what you were playing, like as you know, in other elements that we have read, like feeling sort of the music that you were playing to adjust to that.
Adjust.
Adjusting.
Trying to pick
I'm
out.
trying to pick out particular words. Adjusting. But also, when we talk about counting, it is only in formal dance education that we count. In the local communities, for example, where I've been researching, counting, no, it is just the drum, and then it is. Does Hungary hear me? Hungary, do you hear me? Hungary, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
I want
Yeah,
to,
so
to say something, and it's like you asked me before if I have changed something during my class, and I said no. But now that I was listening to you, I realized that I didn't change it because I have already prepared something for them. I knew them, so I thought about what kind of music they would like, how can I show the best part of Colombia, what are the veterans, what steps are funny, easy, but also attractive for them. And that's what I do. So I didn't change things, but I select them very in a very particular way.
yeah, which is different with me. I just landed on it. I actually wanted to know you during the dancing, and that is what I was doing. That's why I was a little bit sometimes laughing with myself and having fun, actually. So I didn't prepare the class. I just, this is why I was asking, who is doing it today? And then it said, yes, me. And then we went into it directly. So there was no preparation here at all. So I think, we have 2 minutes. As you look at these kind of expressions, there is, I will share my screen going into the PPT. Hold on, Hungary. Just a moment.
Can I say something?
Yes,
Very
in the meanwhile. Yeah.
I'm not much taller than you. I think I'm a couple, right?
Ah, that's good to know that I am ready.
Because when I was looking at me, I was looking. I'm sorry.
So no, I was trying to imagine a Norwegian 2 meters guy trying to dance this, and you telling him go lower. I was like, where is the lower? So beside living aside the cultures, bodies, like I was like, where is the limit? Where do you stop going down? I was like really. That's why I'm like 1 centimeter, like I'm the same height.
Yeah.
And I was seeing myself in the mirror, and I was like, oh, I only see my face. I was like, oh, I have to go down, and then I was like, no, this is too down, too low, too low.
And that's like a detail that could be, somebody could think about. Go lower. How
yeah,
low?
I was like, where?
By 1 centimeter or whatever, but we just say, okay, go low. If I think when Professor Ege will be teaching you stringent observation, And you will ask, okay, go lower by what degree? To that detail. Here, I wouldn't do that at all. I didn't even think about it because we don't usually do it. So good question. I didn't tell you how low to go. Okay, great. But here with these kind of situations within a diasporic community, somebody you don't know everybody. Really, you don't know the details of where everybody comes from, especially when you haven't prepared. And then you have this idea of presenting a practice, something that you are doing, you've been doing, and you are, and you've been practicing all the time. And it is, it's a form of expression, but also a communion. For me, it's a knowledge body. And this, I should explain this a little bit, that in this aspect, I look at the dance tradition as a knowledge body, because there's a lot of knowledge inscribed into the details of this tradition as a tradition. So, is that this? If I, for example, if with what we've been doing, I'm drawing on that knowledge, yeah, to pass. I'm using that knowledge to pass it on to you, but also to conceptualize what I'm doing in the moment. So it is. Traditions are functional. For example, even this one that we've been doing, they have particular functions. So there's knowledge embedded into it. It's different with other genres, for example. But dance traditions from the perspective of East Africa, I think generally in Africa, they have a particular function they are serving within the community. Knowledge body there is the dancing is the enactment of this knowledge, is the activation of this knowledge. It's there, I should say, the activation of this knowledge in the process. And when you activate this kind of knowledge within the local community with people who are the bearers of this tradition, it has a different vibration than when you activate this knowledge from a diasporic context or from a different environment, from a different contextualization. So as we go into this, we continue to go into this exploration of different traditions from different people, we need to be aware of that. There is adaptation and the process of acculturation. We don't know, I mean, you didn't know about this tradition and you learned in the process and you adapt. You still don't know.
You keep saying it's a kids dance.
Yes,
but that's
yes,
it.
and I wanted to leave it that way, to keep that questioning in the process, because, well, there are just 3 movements and it is just a small glimpse of the whole tradition. So there is this kind of adaptation meaning that you are somewhere, yeah, you already have your own knowledge in the body or within the traditions you're coming from. And I am bringing, or within the diasporic context, we are bringing this to you to add on what you already have, or maybe subtract on what you already have, or to fuse with what you already have, or because you have something where to spring from to understand another, because you have your own, you have your own body, and then telling you to a little bit maybe stretch here, stretch where, which may be outside your own original parameters or whatever. So in that way, you are in a form of adaptation. Also, it is also a skill development process, in that kind of stretch. Oh, I didn't know this, now I know this. Oh, I'm not used to round dances, but now I'm doing it. So you're developing a skill in the process. And it's not only for those, for the people who are transferring it, but also for the people who are actually receiving it in the process. And this other point of a continuous self. Now, this is to the person who is taking the class, who is leading the class. There is a representation of self. If you are drawing on the knowledge back home, you are not only representing yourself, but you're representing a group of people. And this is one of the biggest questions with diasporic communities. Am I representing this knowledge, this tradition well enough that I would not be sent out of my community when I go back, in case I go back? Am I presenting myself the right way? Am I changing things? Is it good to change, or is the community, am I free to change? And all these questions come around. So this representation of self, yourself, your community, your tradition, even if it is not like a general tradition from a local community, even if it is, for example, you are doing a contemporary piece or a jazz piece or whatever, you have this questioning, am I doing it right? Or if, for example, I was to do this and then it is attached to my name that I am the one who did it, you know, and post it somewhere, and then, you know, you have a community of jazz dancers who will say, what is he doing? Is it really this? Or yeah, so you have all these questions around, and in a diasporic community where some, in many circumstances, people refer back home, yeah, refer to their traditions being done back at home. There are all these questioning, and therefore the question becomes, what is at stake? What is at stake for you as the or the community where you're coming from, or the community where you are in doing this in the process? So these are some of the questions that that could go around, especially if, and they are different if you're a professional dancer, or you are not a professional dancer, you are a dance lover, you know, or you are an academic or a researcher, or all these kind of contexts go around in the process. But this is where we're supposed to have a dance break, but I would say the dance break is done, and we have Hungary. Are you still with us? Yes. Okay. So please reflect on this video. Everybody has it, and reflect on what is transpiring in the process of dancing. Yeah, in the process of transfer, in the process, and imagine this is a diasporic community, and you are watching somebody who was engaged in an event where they were dancing, whether there was preparation or not, and start questioning this kind of moment and this kind of situation in the process. And I think by the time the time we come back, we'll have perhaps digested this a little bit better. We are not going to get back to it because we have other material, because another person will be presenting next time. But the purpose for this is really to experiment, but also experience in the process, so that you are better positioned to write your essay, you know, so from a more experiential point of view. I would like to stop here because at 8 minutes above, I have learned that the dancing will take a little bit longer than usually than what I planned, but it is, I think it is okay. It's good to sweat in the middle, and then we can come back later. So I will be put material in the Google Doc, some readings, so that you can start reading. And I think Professor Gediminas will tell you the same in the afternoon class. And then there's another, the next lecture in one of the next, and these articles and discussing them in the process. Okay, do you have any questions, Hungary, before we close today?
One of you have questions? No, no one has questions.
Yes. No?
No.
Am I muted?
No, we're okay.
We don't hear you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now you see.
We don't have questions.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm very glad that you improvise and have the class in one place. It makes a lot of sense and it is much fun. So we meet again next Thursday. And who is taking the class next Thursday? You are, Marie. And in Hungary, who is taking the class?
We don't know.
I think it's
look at the list I sent you. look at the list and we will.
Juan, but he's another Colombian guy.
All right. So good luck and.
Ballet, and European dances. All that. Yes. Sorry,
So
I
we'll see
should
you.
not
We'll
say
see you
that.
next Thursday. Yeah. Logging off Hungary. See you next Thursday. Okay. So.
Bye. Siesta.
I say bye. I mean bye. Bye. Take care.